Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 1, Episode 8 of Godversations with Kesha. Conversations about, with, and inspired by God. So today we have a guest. I'm so excited about her. Her name is Latoya Mack.
No.
Latoya, we're so happy to have you
Hey, hello. Hey,
today.
Keisha.
All right, so let me tell you about Latoya, okay? Latoya Mack is a multi-industry entrepreneur, senior tax strategist, and real estate broker based in Houston, Texas, committed to transforming the financial and economic landscape for individuals, families, and first-generation wealth builders. She is also the founder of multiple faith-driven financial and education programs designed to empower people to reset financially, break generational cycles, and walk in their kingdom identity with boldness, clarity, and strategy. I love that girl. Her mission is simple: to educate, elevate, and empower people to steward wealth God's way and access the prosperity He has prepared for them. So,
Yes.
Latoya, I'm so happy to have you, girl. I'm happy to have you. And I need this conversation, honey, because I'm trying to get my finances together and build this wealth and,
Yes.
for the
I
next
got you.
generation.
Come on, I got you. That's what it's all about.
All
But I
right.
am excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you. Like I told you before, I know this is so God. And I'm just thankful for the opportunity. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you. I'm glad to have you. So, I always start out by just telling the people where I know you from. So, for those of you who don't know, I bought a house 2 years ago. And Latoya was my realtor. And not only my realtor, y'all, I'm talking about my Holy Ghost filled, spirit led realtor, okay? I honestly believe, and I've told her this, had I had any other realtor, I would not be in this house. I
Oh,
honestly believe that I would not be in this house if God had not led me to Latoya Mack. I really do believe that. And even professionally, she's very professional. She's very on top of things. She's going to show up when she says she's going to show up. She's dependable. She's going to be there with you through the entire process. But in addition to that, she is very spirit led. And if anybody knows, the process of buying a home can take you down through there emotionally.
ooh. Yes.
It can take you through there, okay? Emotionally. But Latoya was just so, she was just so peaceful and so calm. And when I was starting to trip out, she would always calm me down. It was something. It was something, but it was a ride. We all know that. It can be a roller coaster ride emotionally.
Right.
But I just, like I said, I just feel like I wouldn't have made it through the process with any other realtor. So that is how we met.
It is. I can't believe it's been 2 years.
Me too, girl. No, over 2 years. Yep.
Over 2 years. I remember that process. I remember it well. Twists and turns and ups and
I
downs.
know. Yes.
Woo.
The guy showed up in it. He
He
showed up in it.
did.
Yeah.
He
So,
definitely did that.
so over here on Godversations, Latoya, we love to just know your story and know where you've been, where you are now, and where you're going. And then how God is speaking through all of it. One of the main things that I want people to get from this platform is how God speaks, how he speaks, and how he is in the details, and he cares about everything that concerns us.
Yes.
So let's start off with, who is Latoya Mack? How did you get to where you are
Who is Latoya Mack? That question is always like so big to me because it's like,
now?
whew, where do I start? And you automatically always, well, I always want to start with what I do, but the question is, who am I?
Mhm.
Those things, and I'm a tax strategist, I'm a real estate broker, a financial educator. Those are things that I do, but who am I? Who am I to my core? First and foremost, I am a child of God. I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. I am from Houston. To my core, I love people. I always want to do what's right. I always want to help in any way that I can. Born and raised in Houston, Texas. Grew up single mom, hardworking mom, did the best she could. Love my mom. I just wanted to make her proud, never wanted to cause her any added stress, and always wanted to do whatever I could to be helpful. So I was always like deemed as the responsible one, and always want to make sure I made good grades. I did sports, and sports is what really kept me, disciplined, and like that's where it was instilled in me, like leadership,
Mhm.
competitive little edge I got. So I always want, I'm gonna be successful when I grow up. And then I always had a desire for like business. And so I always knew I was going to be in business in some form of fashion. And so my first business was, I think most people, start that selling candy at school, and that's what I did. I say I was innovative. I say we started the first mobile candy shop because, yeah, I took my purse filled with, I would have my mom and my aunts go buy those big old candy bags, and me and my brother would determine the prices and add up our profits and everything. And we always made sure we had the candy that nobody had. And also at a young age, I got saved at 7. I had a grandmother that I spent a lot of time with, and my grandma was on fire for Jesus. And I was the first granddaughter, so like she took me everywhere, and I saw her, like she would always, like my grandmother read the Bible like 4 or 5, like so many times. You would always find her reading her Bible, praying. One of the things that she did in her spare time, and she would take me with her, is we would go to the mall to get ice cream.
Mhm.
But little did I know we was going there because that's where she went to evangelize. Like she would go and get the ice cream, and anybody and everybody that she met, do you know Jesus? But just growing up with her, but she always told me that, Jesus is your friend. Like you can talk to him and about anything and tell him anything. You can talk to him like a regular person. And so that always really stuck with me. And so you know how kids or people have imaginary friends. I didn't have Jesus was my friend, like for real.
Even that she told you that at a young age, that you can talk
Hmm.
to Jesus just like you talk to anybody else. Because I think for a lot of people who grow up in the church, myself included, we're always taught almost to fear God. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
and we should, but
Yeah.
also he's a loving father. So we
Yeah.
don't really a lot of times know that part until we get older and we begin to experience him for ourselves. So the
Yeah.
fact that she planted that seed in you even as a child is like great. Yeah.
She did. She did. I even started like at recess. I was always the one starting clubs. I started like a cheer group. I started just at recess. It would be some kind of thing that we would start. When I did get saved, girl, I used to bring my Bible to school, and we would have Bible studies. We would get these little scriptures, these little cards, scriptures for the week, and me and my friends would get together and go over scriptures and do this. So when I look back and think about those things, it's just like, wow, it started way back then, but I always had that foundation, and my relationship with God has been part of my foundation in how I made it to where I am now, even through life's ups and downs and struggles and twists and turns. I've always been able to, lean on the Lord and know that He had me.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's awesome. So little Latoya was a little businesswoman slash missionary.
Yes.
So it's
Wanted to be a
always
prayer
been me. It's
warrior.
always
Yes.
been
Yes, always. That childlike faith is something else. Because I didn't care what people thought. I just think about that, and it was a special time.
yeah, and that's something that we need now as well. When
Mhm.
you're able to tap into that, then you learn how to go back to it when you need to. Because I mean,
Yeah.
I'm in a season right now in my life where it's like I have to activate that childlike faith. I gotta get my own thoughts out of the way. I gotta get my own,
All right.
you know, plans out of the way and how I think it should go and what I think it should look like. And I just gotta focus on God. And
Yeah.
God, this is what you said, this is what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
that's the childhood, that's the rearing that you had from your mom and your awesome grandma.
Yeah.
So where are we now? Where are we now? What are we doing now?
So he speaks to me in dreams, visions, and just sometimes I just have a knowing, sometimes it's just a still small voice. And every now and then it's like I hear an audible voice. And so I'll tell you about that. But I had a vision recently where it was like I was on a boat in the middle of the ocean. And I just really feel like he's saying, I need you to come deeper, go deeper, come
Mhm.
out into this place. And one time I woke up one morning and he said, I'm leading you to uncharted territory, but basically to the unknown.
Mhm.
Never experienced something like totally new, but if you just trust me. And then that song, that song Oceans, where he called me out into the water. And so
Yeah.
it's like that theme, that's like the theme of this season. Because I've been these last 2 years, I've been in this place of comfort. Prior to that, it's just like hit after hit after hit. And I was just like, I'm just gonna stay right here. And I just really feel in my spirit that it's something bigger.
Mhm.
And there have been times where I felt this pull and I would stop myself because of fear, because I always want to know what is going to be or what is this. And so I would stop myself. And so I made up in my mind, I was like, Lord, I want to go all the way this time. So this is where I'm at. This time, nothing is going to stop me. So I need your
Yes.
help.
Yes, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So,
Yeah.
so you're talking about how God speaks to you in dreams and He kind of shows you where you are and what season you're in. So
Yes.
I would love to hear when people usually like leave corporate America or whatever they've been doing and they go into entrepreneurship. What did that look like for you? What signs did God give? How did He speak to you? Because God kind of has to speak to you for you to be like, all right, I'm just gonna go out here on my own, you know? So what does
Listen.
that look like?
Yes, listen. Yeah, so when I graduated college, I already went in, like I said, knew I was gonna major in business. I already knew that I wanted to be in accounting. I've always been very blessed to get really good jobs in corporate America. And you couldn't tell me nothing. I was gonna be manager, like I was gonna be there. That's what I was gonna. But a couple of years in, as I even started getting closer with the Lord, there was this feeling on the inside where I just felt like it was something more, and I just wasn't fulfilled with what I was doing. It came around the time where I actually was ready to purchase my first home. And this is part of my testimony and even how I got into real estate. I sought the Lord and I was like, well, now, Lord, is it the time for me to buy a home? And this actually was my second time buying a home. When I was in college, my brother and I, we purchased a home and it was supposed to be our family home where we're going to transfer it over to my mom after a certain point. Because we always lived from apartment to apartment, and it was always a desire for us to have a home. And there was a point when we were younger where we were getting a home built, and my mom, she lost her job, so we ended up having to live with family. So that's important in my story too.
It is.
But so I'm at the point now. So with that house, we ended up keeping it. My brother, we refinanced it, and it was just in my brother's name. And I was like, Lord, we went through a situation when we bought that first house. I desire to own a home again, but if it's you, let me know. So I began to doing the research and just walking it out, and I found out about the first time home buyer programs, and I was like, well, I don't know if I qualify for first time home buyer, but let me call. So I ended up calling the number, and the broker answered, and I shared with him what my desire, and that I had owned a home before. And he was like, well, have you owned that home in the last 3 years? And I was like, no, refinance. He was like, well, did you know if you hadn't owned a home in 3 years, you re-qualify for first time home buyer? It's like, for real. So that was a sign to me. I was like, okay, Lord, I feel like that's confirmation to, okay. keep going, keep going. He was like, well, let's set a time. Come to my office this weekend and I could talk about it more with you. I went to that meeting, sat down in the chair. The first thing he said is, are you a believer in Christ? And I said, yes. He said, well, before I tell you anything, I just want to let you know, you think you came here to buy a home, but God brought you here for something other than to buy a home. And we don't know what it is yet, but he gonna reveal it through this process. And then so little did I know that it was a real estate company, but it was also a ministry. And it was all about helping first-time home buyers to access government funds to purchase a home. And they also had like a free credit enhancement program where all the agents help, like if they needed credit, repair anything, like they did their credit repair for free. And just walked with them through the process, prayed with us. Like, I was just like, amazed. And I was like, Lord, this is you. So I
Yeah.
was working at Centerpoint Energy as an internal auditor. I also had I always had a side business. So my side business was doing taxes. And I had L Mac Enterprises.
Come on, L
And
man.
and so we went through the process and yep, I found my second home, which was my first home by myself. And it was God. I was able to build the house from the ground up, 4 bedrooms. The builder paid my closing costs. I got that grant program. My interest rate was like 3.2%. And the main reason why this is a huge testimony is because I used to have bad credit. It couldn't buy anything, okay?
That's
um,
how God moves, though. It is
yes,
so funny to me. Like when you think you got all your I's dotted and your T's crossed, it look like he's like, it ain't time. Then when
yeah,
everything chaotic and you like, he's like,
yeah.
right now, like let me show you
Yes,
who I am, okay? Let me
yes.
show you
I
who I am
mean,
because you thought you was gonna do it by your might, but let me
come
show you who
on,
I
come on. In there, make it plain and clear
am.
too.
Right.
And so I remembered that first meeting that I had with him, and I wanted to testify. So I sent him, my broker an email, and I said, I want to thank you for all that you've done in this process. Like I know God really used you just by the way that you all run your business. That showed me how I should be doing business. So I want to put God first in everything I do, including my business. There should be no separation. I learned that from there about kingdom business, like, putting God first. And I'm in this place where I just want to do whatever God is calling me to do.
As you were telling me that story, that
Yeah.
makes so much sense because that is how you do business. That is
Hmm.
like I said, when I found you, I felt the same way you felt when he found when you found him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because I was just like, who's you? I think I told you one time. I said, what kind of fairy godmother are you?
Yes, it is real. I'm so serious. I feel like, how they touched by an angel. It's like I'm an angel sent by God to me. Like, I'm an agent. I'm a real estate agent, but I'm an agent for God. Like that's how I really look at it. But still, I'm not thinking, never thought in a million years I was gonna be a real estate agent. I'm not thinking about that. I'm like, okay, yeah, so this is how you want me to do my business. But so I don't know if he called me right then or if he emailed me back, but he called. I think he called. He said, hey, sister, didn't you tell me you took classes to become a real estate agent? And I was like, not to become a real estate agent. I just took those classes because I needed elective credits. And I knew that I was going to buy a home again. And I never wanted to not be informed. And he was like, well, you got a degree and you got these classes. He said, and you have a tax company. He said, tell you what, if you go and take the test to get your real estate agent license, you can use one of the offices here to do your tax business. And you can be our in-house tax person because our clients that come through here, a lot of times they need someone to do their taxes. Our agents need people to do their taxes. And you can do trainings on taxes. And I was just like, Lord, you just keep on blessing. So yeah, I went and took that test. I took that test before the end of the year. I was licensed. And I had started doing it for 6 months. And 6 months in, I was just like, man, I can do this. Like, if I never got paid doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I knew, because I never said that about anything. But yeah, I loved it because not only that, because it's like I saw myself on the other side. And then, I was able to encourage them that, if he did it for me, he'll do it for you,
So,
and also helping them through, overcome those credit challenges and just encouraging them throughout. And then at the end, seeing them go through the process, having the faith and doing everything necessary, trusting God. And then at the closing table, just getting those keys and oh, there's no feeling greater than
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And so after that, I was like, oh, now how I'm gonna leave this job? Okay, Lord, I know this shit.
Lead this dog.
But at the same time, I had this house note now,
Uh-huh.
and all this. But I really felt like he was saying, if you trust me, all you gotta do is just take that leap. That's when the dreams, that's when I can remember my dreams starting. Because the first dream that just really stands out was it was a dream that I had with one of my mentors was in the dream. She was a CPA, and I always went to her for advice, and I always wanted to be like, she started her own CPA firm and all of this. And she was in the organization that I was in, and she would always, just be encouraging. And so in the dream, I had went to her for something, and she was like, Latoya, that job is not your source. God is your source. And whatever you need, he will provide. And then the brokerage also had church services that they would do. And the pastor, he was a prophet of God. And so like, the Lord would speak through him and confirm some of the things that the Lord was telling me in my personal time. So I just really felt like the Lord was really encouraging me and speaking like, if you just trust me, if you had a faith to believe, then I'm gonna do it. So I put together a plan to pay off my debt. Like the only thing I had like 6 months on my car note. Um and then I was like, well, I got a pension and a 401. It's like that money. I thought I was gonna leave at a certain time, but it ended up being the end of July where I felt like he was saying, like, just go now. Like, you have your plan, but just go now. Just trust me.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know when I left a couple of weeks later, I ended up getting into an accident. Like, I was at a light and this car slammed in the back of me,
Mm-hmm.
and that car caught on fire. It was crazy, but by the grace of God, nobody was hurt or injured or anything. But through that situation, the car ended up being total. And it shouldn't have been total because it was just like a little, even though like she slammed and her car caught on fire, it was just like a little dent, but it ended up being total. But through that whole situation, the car was paid off, but the car that hit me, the insurance company that was over, she was in her company car.
Mm-hmm.
But as I was dealing with the adjuster, he was like, you just tell me, what can we do to make this right? How much do you need? And I was like, is this for real? I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to say. But long story short, they ended up giving me a settlement from that. And then the Lord led me to the dealership. They had the same car that I had, and I had enough to buy that car cash,
Mm-hmm.
pay it off, and then some left over to like save on top of what I already had saved. But it's like he canceled that sooner than I would have thought. Just all these little things were just like building my faith even more and letting me know that I'm in his will and that he is with me. Just having that feeling gave me peace. Even though my family like, girl, why you quit your good paying job?
Yeah.
Girl, don't you know this in the real estate industry? Didn't you just see what happened? What are you doing? And they wasn't used to me like making these kind of moves. So like part of it was like, okay, well, we know you ain't gonna just do anything, but at the same time, but your good paying job. And
But you know
so,
what? I think that just walking with God, I
mhm,
think that we all have those times when we have to just trust Him.
yes,
Just trust Him. Like you said, you had your plan, and that's what makes sense. What
yeah,
makes sense is for you to say, I know I want to leave this job, so I'm gonna get a plan. And
yeah,
I'm gonna pay these bills off, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that. That's what makes sense.
yeah,
But there's a time when we have to throw out of the window what makes sense to us,
yes,
and we have to say, God, I trust you.
yeah,
If you're saying go now, I'm going now. If you're
yeah,
saying do this now, I'm doing it now. And I feel like anytime you're going to do something greater or you're going to move to something bigger, there's a risk involved. There's
yes,
always a risk involved. But if you trust God, there is no
yeah.
risk.
That's true. That's true.
There is no risk.
Guaranteed
It's
reward,
guaranteed.
guaranteed blessing. Yes. I was with that company for about, I want to say 3 years.
Mhm.
And I really want to be transparent. So, like, my whole time there was every time somebody came to me when they walked in my office, the same thing. I was, you think you came here to buy a home? God's gonna do something in this process.
Right.
Trust me. I was like the woman at the well. Trust me, like he finna do something big for you. You want to buy a home? You didn't, and a lot of them don't even believe that they can own a home, and nobody in their family has ever owned a home before. And I mean, it wasn't just home ownership. Like we've seen people be healed, we've seen people's families be restored. But it was all kinds of different people, different backgrounds that came in, and it's just building relationships. But I really found a true joy and passion in this, and it was God that led me to it.
It's so inspirational, like to hear you talk about that though, because we don't see where the things that we do for a living, like our careers and things like that, we don't really see where God is using that. We always
Yeah,
look at ministry as something separate.
yeah,
I will have to be in a church doing something, or I have to be praying, and I have to be, I have to be doing something that looks like ministry.
yeah.
But we are sent to be light and salt wherever we are.
That's
That's
right.
what we're sent to do. So even in your career choices, I was thinking about you talking about when you were a child and
Yeah.
you were selling candy and talking to people about Jesus when you were little and everything. A
Mhm.
lot of those desires that we think are our desires is God molding us to what it
Yeah.
is that He's already planned for us before we ever came into this world. You know what I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's just awesome to hear you talk about that and how God is just weaving this story together through your career, but it's also your ministry. It's also
Yeah.
your purpose.
Yeah. But yeah, like this is like it's a mission field, it really is because everybody comes through pretty
Many
much this
people
way.
come into contact with,
Yeah.
that may
Yeah.
never walk into a church or
Exactly.
may never go to a revival.
Exactly. So there was a shift. I have to be open and transparent about this. So what do you do when the testimony changes? So I left my job, had started doing it full time. It was a tough transition from having a steady income to like now I'm 100% commission. Like I really had to depend on God. And so he showed me that he is Jehovah Jireh, my provider. And so, but then, so all this time I have this house, and then it came to a point where, okay, the closing stopped, and the savings so it's like, oh Lord, I can't pay my note. Now what I'm gonna do? So I ended up deciding to lease it out, and I ended up moving with family. But that was necessary too, because through that process, a desire of mine, I have a sister, we had the same dad, but different moms. And we didn't grow up together, but I always wanted to be close with her. So I ended up moving there with them. and we drew closer together. And just through that, like she even drew closer to God and all of that. So rented out my house to a family that I believe God had brought, and it was a blessing to them. That was my prayer. Lord, send me tenants. This house is gonna be a blessing to them. They're gonna love it and treat it as their own. And he did. And but at the same time, I'm not cut out to be a landlord. I was at the time anyway, because it's like when they fell on some hard times, it was like, well, we can't pay right now. Can we? And so I was lenient, and long story short, so it got to a point where I had to, they had to move out, and I was behind on the note and try to work with the bank, and I was like, well, maybe I'll go ahead and sell it, but I just didn't want to let it go, and I should have, but I didn't. Long story short, so the house ended up foreclosing. So now, how am I gonna sit up in here and tell people? you know, so the testimony changed.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like a real low point because I'm like, Lord, but I'm doing what you told me to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a scripture in the Bible where Jesus told the disciples, right now you don't know what I'm doing, but later on you will.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up staying with them for a little while. And then I ended up having to, when the house foreclosed, I ended up having to move back to the family home, my grandmother's home, where that house is always like if anybody's in trouble in transition, you go back to, the house. And so I moved from a 4-bedroom home. I'm sleeping on a futon in the living room when you come in to the house. No
Mm-hmm.
privacy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, Lord, I'm at the lowest of the lows.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm so glad that you're bringing this up though, because I think that a lot of times we do feel like, if we follow God,
Yeah.
everything's going to be great. You know what I'm saying? Everything's going to be wonderful. And that's not the case either. Okay. Look at the disciples. They follow God.
Yeah. Okay. Listen,
They followed,
it's a
they
cost to
followed
this.
Jesus, right? They were
Yes.
walking with Jesus, but
Yeah.
they still fell on hard times. They
Yeah.
still had trials. They still had tribulations. And that's
Yeah.
going to happen because that builds your faith. That
Yeah.
builds your character. That builds you for whatever it is that God has for you as well. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because, it doesn't always turn out the way we thought it was going to turn out.
It
Sometimes
don't.
it turns out the complete opposite that
Yeah.
we thought it was going to turn out.
Listen. Oh
But
my God.
even in that,
Yeah.
God is good.
Yes.
Not good based upon how it turns out. He's good because he's good. And no
Yeah.
good thing will he withhold from us. So if
Come
it's
on.
happening, it's good for you.
Come on. Yep.
Yeah.
And it's all about that in perspective, having his perspective
Mm-hmm.
on the matters and just knowing that he's a good, loving father,
Yes.
and so, okay, Lord, you say, understand, and one day I'm gonna understand. I don't understand this, but so living in a
You do
family
feel
home,
away and you do have an attitude in the process.
yes.
Let's be real. Let's be real. You do have an attitude in the
Right.
process. Like, how you gonna tell me to
Listen.
do this and I'm sleeping on the futon? Tell me what's going
Yes.
on.
Lord, you said I could lead a job. You'll be my source. Where is it? Where is it going?